Oh shoot, I muted by accident. So I'll start over. Yeah. So for
Cassava, let me ask you.
yeah,
In biotech, how many names would you say, how difficult do you think it is for you to find a name that you think is worthless?
to do what to a name that's worthless?
How difficult do you think it is to find any small cap with a bad pipeline that's worthless?
I'd say probably 10 or 20% of companies.
10-20%?
Yeah.
Do you go for the ones usually that are the heaviest shorted, that, maybe have 1,000 plus short sellers? What's like the criteria for you?
I think it's important. The most important thing for me is certainty. So sometimes there's nobody else short. Sometimes there's just me and a couple of big hedge funds. Sometimes it's me and the whole world. And in this case, it's kind of like me and the whole world, but it's still a good market cap.
What do you think about the risk reward on okay, so I'm not sure the whole timeline, but so Wayne gets indicted, Remy gets arrested or whatever, charged. So there's another executive. The stock's up like 200% since.
Yep.
What happens if Rick Barry doesn't do a spin, files for approval, and buys some more stock? Where's the stock trade?
I can't understand you 100% clearly, but
I was saying, let's just say, the study fails, but it's not, they don't spend it much, but Rick Barry files for approval. What do you think happens?
I don't know. Rick can do whatever he wants. You can file with the FDA, but they don't approve drugs that don't work, or they typically don't. So if the trial doesn't work, I think the stock will go to 3. I mean, shareholders aren't going to sit there and, hang on to something where they could redeploy their capital.
As opposed to what they've been doing in Cassava for years?
Well, I think that they will get... Well, one, I mean, you kind of can't be bullish on the stock because at the end of the day, they are going to announce data. It's going to be bad. So the idea that Rick would never give up, I mean, if the data are really bad, I think even Rick will give up. If there's a reason to believe that something's going to be good in the data, that's another story completely. But I don't think the data will show literally any efficacy whatsoever.
You look at some of the most well-known scams. I feel like you see they get large market caps for just literally the short selling is a bigger asset. I mean, that's just my view on it. You could literally create as large of an asset as you want out of short sellers. I mean, look at every Alzheimer's study is basically found. I mean, pretty much every Alzheimer's study ever. I mean, I don't think it's a great business just shorting every Alzheimer's company. So that's kind of my thought there. I think Leftwood's at 1.3 billion. I'm not 100% on that, but what's the difference? It goes to 3.9 billion. If you think it's worthless at 500, if you think it's worthless, it's worthless at 500 million, it's worthless at 1.3
Correct.
billion, it's worthless at 10 billion.
That's correct.
So from your point of view, I can see you don't care if it goes higher, collapses eventually, can make a great trade.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any reason to think it's going to go higher. If as the event approaches, people will arbitrage it more carefully. I think it'll probably go to 15 before the readout because people are looking at it more carefully now and saying, wow, I own a piece of shit. I didn't know that.
Interesting. I think it's going to do the opposite. I hear even shorts, they talk about it. They're like, I'm going to let this thing rip to 50, 60. Then short it. Like, bro, things just doubled on you. You're not going to make that much money on the short side. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue the science is there. It's going to work. But
wait, I'm sorry. So I just want to catch that again. So you're saying that you don't think the drug works?
No, I'm not going to argue that. But I'm just saying, when I'm looking at, a short position, something like Cassava is probably the least attractive option I can come up with, just because,
I mean, it's gone down it's gone down in the last 5 days to a month. I mean, it's not.
I know this too.
It's not like it has momentum.
Why do you think Super Micro trades where it does? I mean, I'm not arguing that business at all, but I'm just saying, you don't think the short sellers help a lot with some of these names?
Not really.
I think that's kind of crazy. I think short sellers fuel the market.
I don't. I think shorts are a really small part of the market, and they don't really do much. In the I think that Supermicro had 300% revenue growth.
That's why I was pivoted for a second. Like they're not like it's not like it's a garbage business or anything.
Yeah, it's a GPU. I mean, they got the hottest. They're in the hottest space in the world.
No, I'm not arguing Supermicro's business. Not I have a good understanding of the semiconductor space, but what I'm saying is like it definitely has helped. They did a short report. Supermicro stock was like $50. Maybe it pulled back to 30. It went to 1,000 in a few months. I think that's not fundamental.
I think everything can be true at once. For example, a company can have sloppy accounting and poor controls and still be in the hottest growth sector in the world. And
okay, maybe a short selling will speed up a move considerably.
I don't think so. I've traded a lot, and I think the theories around short selling are just mostly memes. I mean, long selling is the same thing as short selling, and long sellers have just as itchy trigger finger as short sellers, and I think there's symmetry there that we mythologize short selling like it's some crazy thing, and it really isn't.
Oh no, of course not. I'm talking about it from a different angle more. I'm saying it's actually helpful for a lot of these companies, and I don't think they realize it.
Yeah, I mean, to the extent it's like some weird attractor that attracts investors to go long, which is seemingly kind of crazy. I do think that's probably like a factor variable you could look at. Sometimes I would imagine short selling would scare people from buying a stock. I mean, Wall Street's sophisticated. They're all crowding in to short your stock. In the past, I think we're still weaning off the whole like Robinhood, GameStop, AMC, phantom shares thing.
Like talked about that stuff. I'm not talking about like trying to squeeze like some random company, but like when you have a company like Cassava, like it matters how many different people are short a stock. Like if you just ask someone, just any regular retail investor, do you think Cassava's long or short? Most will say short. Do you agree?
I don't know.
I think that's honestly like one thing that's just
somebody's long.
You have it in so many different hands. It's not like you can just cover it in 2 seconds. It's more spread out. There's just a microstructured element to it, I believe.
I think the marginal trader after this news will send the price to close to cash because I think the company is going to be forced to admit defeat. I think that includes. Yeah,
go ahead.
I think that includes any like subgroup they have. I think people don't understand how hard it is to find a good subgroup in phase 3.
Totally. I agree.
When you do a big trial, all the subgroups look the same. And you can't even get a random subgroup to work. Because if you do a big trial, you're going to get this kind of law of large effects where the data will get like a little homogenized. Whereas in these small trials, subgroups stand out because you don't have many patients to begin with. But in a large trial, the 8S cog in any subgroup is going to be really, really close. So I think they may look at the data and say, we didn't see any effect. And then what else do you have to say? Like, there's nothing to say.
Right. But don't you believe there's enough info out there where pretty much anyone who knows about this can make their conclusion at this point?
No, I think if you have the definitive phase 3, I mean, if you talk to the bulls, they believe that this trial will work.
I know that, but to me, this one's just too. You could be 100% right. To me, this one just seems too easy. Like I could easily see just ripping people 400, 500%. I could see you being right. I it's just like what I'm not looking for in a short. Cassava hits like all the criteria, honestly. Even though like I kind of agree with you on the conclusion, like the mechanism of action is very weak, obviously. But at the same time, it's what Alzheimer's studies really succeed. Very few, and discount that. I think when considering the stock.
Sounds like you're pitching a good short. I mean, you got a 1.3 billion market cap. The due date on their data is any day now. This company will have to finance at some point. And
who's they don't have, someone who's willing to finance them. I mean, there's
HC Wainwright or someone like that will do a round with warrants or something, and I'm sure they'll get a deal done. But it'll be a $5 stock. I mean, I don't see how retail shareholders who are expecting they're expecting Alzheimer's data, and they're expecting good data. So if the data was already out and they were like, okay, we have a subgroup to hang our head on and we're still going to file and stuff like that, I could see the stock kind of survive a little, but it would still be down like 60, 70%. But I could see them like chugging along, hanging in there, holding on to hope. But like if they come out and say, we have no effect, this drug does not work. Thank you, patients. Thank you, shareholders. Show is over. I mean, how could anyone form any bullish thesis on that? There's nothing to hang on to. They need a subgroup. They need something to continue the charade. If the charade is
to me, the
over,
short slips are the catalyst here, bro. I'm telling you, what's Cassava worth right now? They had no short interest. They had the same asset, same
thing. Same thing.
100 million.
People are excited about a lotto ticket. I talked to a developer last night who has $500,000 in it. He has no idea what he's doing. It's the first biotech he's ever done. He confided in me that it would probably be the last biotech he ever does. This is the distributed ownership of Cassava. It's people like that have $1 million, $500,000, $10 million, $2,000, and they all think that this is going to be a huge win. And every single Cassava shareholder tells me the same story. It's a good risk reward because the risk is I lose it all. The reward is a 50x. How could that not be a good risk reward? And of course, that's their thesis. It's not my thesis. And these are people who own the stock. You own the stock in some semblance of like maybe a greater fool theory.
I don't own the stock.
You said you're a bull.
I said I'm a bull. Yeah, I don't own the stock.
You're not a bull if you don't own it. You got.
No. I said I would look.
You got to sack up and buy some, dog.
It makes more sense. Look, it ran from 8 to 29, 8 to 40, really. Look, I just think like it's not a good short. Like I would.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
For next month.
That's fair.
But no. What?
That's fair. But
I just kind of disagreed with some of your points.
No. I think if you're a pure trader, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think that in my experience, like the truth does drive the price to where you want it to go. But like there are people in the trading world that they're like very finicky. They want the right entry. They want all the right setup, this and that. But there's other traders in the world, like look at Baker Brothers or something like that, where it's like, oh, if this fucking drug works, I'm piling in. I'm trying to shove in $1 billion. And there are people like that on the short side too. And there are firms that are willing to drop 100 million, 200 million in a short. And just
it depends on the size of the company. If you do that, you're going to get nuked. If you do it in a small cap, obviously.
I mean, there are firms willing to do it. And
you think you could just go put 200 million short and $1 billion market cap and do fine?
Yeah. I mean, I've shorted 10 or 20% of the float of companies. It's
small.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're all squeezable, right? And I think the problem is longs are greedy too. Longs see the stock go up, they take profit. It's a normal market. Like, I do think
there's less fear on the long side. I mean, that like if it's 6 a.m. and Sava gets data, a lot of people won't be able to get on, the website on time. They could go up 300%. Short to get called out on it. The market knows that. The market knows it can send it back by 7 a.m., 8 a.m. So the market knows all these things. Like, there's a lot of elements to it. You don't think?
I think that every market participant's different, and remember, the marginal market participant sets the price. And you have a huge number of uninformed market participants who have no clue about any of this. They don't know anything. All they know is it's Alzheimer's drug. It could 50x. That's what they're excited about. That's the overwhelming feeling I get from people, is that this might 50x. This is a lotto ticket. It's a great risk reward. And they're long for that reason. And they will sell when they realize that a lotto ticket didn't come up and they lost the lotto. And all the other people who are like doing mental gymnastics, trying to understand the greater fool, trying to understand the perfect price, like I think that, you know, that meme about the distribution on the left side, the right side, and the middle side. And the middle side is like this guy who's like autistic, like no, but da 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 da. Like the right side of the distribution is like just short it. The left side is like just short it, and the middle side is like, well, wait a second. What if, you know, what if shareholders prop it up even though it does, even though it fails, et cetera, et cetera? It's like, yes, I understand it, but you know, at the end of the day, it's a short. The long that owns the stock for the lotto ticket is going to be pretty disappointed when it doesn't work out. Now, some of those guys won't even sell; they'll just hold on to it, praying for some kind of comeback or whatever. But most of them will sell and move on. And I think that that's your marginal seller. And then the momentum effects of like traders like yourself that seem to like, you know, maybe go on sentiment and get greater fool theory, and other traders like, yeah, they'll amplify that move maybe or dampen that move, but the main move is going to be driven by the lotto ticket buyer that bought a lotto ticket for $28 and says, you know what, at $7, at $5, at $3, I can still get a little bit of my lotto ticket back, get a tax loss, I'm done. And those are the traders that are going to shove the price down. I think. And it's
very possible.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you the conversation. I would love to stay in touch on other stocks, but obviously you're not long for a reason.
Right. I'm not going to go over sex. I just, you know,
Yeah, I
it's an
mean,
interesting name. I like discussing it. So, yeah, no, I think we basically agree on a lot of it. I appreciate you having me on.
yeah, man, thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate you.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.